Prepare to feel a seismic shift in your understanding of the Bible, to challenge the very bedrock of creation stories you've held dear, and to unearth a hidden truth that echoes from the dawn of time. Have you ever sensed an unspoken secret, a vital piece of the cosmic puzzle deliberately omitted from the sacred texts, even in the opening verses of Genesis? What if the narrative we've inherited is just the surface, guarding a profound reality about ancient mysteries, forbidden knowledge, and the celestial conflict that irrevocably shaped our world? Could it be that the elders of Israel, driven by motives we can only begin to comprehend, chose to conceal a lost chapter, a suppressed history detailing the origins of humanity, the tragic fall of angels, and the true multi-layered nature of original sin? Today, we embark on an extraordinary expedition into the depths of biblical lore, journeying through apocryphal texts to reveal the enigmatic Nephilim giants, the watchful Grigori, and the profound spiritual warfare that resonates across millennia. This isn't just a historical inquiry. It's an invitation to a spiritual awakening, a pathway to healing and empowerment through reclaiming lost insights. By the end of this transformative exploration, you'll not only grasp why Genesis 1:2 speaks of chaos, but you'll also embrace the powerful, redemptive truth of creation versus recreation, understanding how the cosmic struggle between light and shadow has forever influenced our existence. This is more than a story. It's a revelation that speaks directly to your soul's deepest yearnings for meaning and purpose, offering ancient wisdom for our modern age. Are you ready to perceive the Bible with new eyes, to embrace the truth revealed by texts like Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher, and to step into a more complete, liberating understanding of your divine journey? What part of this unveiling of ancient secrets sparks the most curiosity within you? Share your thoughts below. Your personal journey into discovery starts now. Most of us have been taught a beautiful, linear narrative. God created the heavens and the earth, and all was perfect from the very start. Yet if we truly lean into the divine whisperings of Genesis chapter 1:2, we encounter a startling paradox. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. This isn't the picture of a pristine, finished creation. This is a scene of profound disarray, a canvas of chaos awaiting divine order. The Hebrew term tohu vabohu evokes not an empty canvas, but a state of desolation, wilderness, and utter emptiness, hinting at a prior state of destruction or dissolution, rather than a fresh beginning. It's a cosmic mystery, a pregnant pause before the familiar narrative unfolds, suggesting that something significant had already transpired, leaving the world in a state that demanded a profound act of divine recreation. To truly grasp this, consider the echoes found in other ancient cosmologies. The Babylonian creation epic, Enuma Elish, for instance, paints a vivid picture of a world born from primordial chaos, a swirling, formless abyss from which the gods themselves emerged before establishing order. This mirrors a universal human intuition. New beginnings often arise from the ashes of prior states, whether personal or cosmic. Our common misconception is to assume Genesis describes creation from nothing. But what if it's a profound testament to God's restorative power, his ability to transform even the most profound ruin into a masterpiece? This revelation is deeply healing, inviting us to see our own moments of chaos, not as endings, but as sacred spaces where divine light is poised to bring forth new life and order. It expands our spiritual understanding, teaching us that the very first act of God we witness in Genesis is one of magnificent recovery. If the earth was already in a state of formless and void, what cataclysmic event could have rendered it so? The answer lies in a meticulously removed chapter from Genesis, a narrative of profound celestial rebellion and a cosmic war that shook the very foundations of reality. While absent from our common Bibles, the echoes and explicit accounts of this ancient conflict are vibrantly preserved in apocryphal texts, sacred writings that, for various historical and theological reasons, were not included in the mainstream canon. When we turn to the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and the Book of Jasher, a richer, more complex narrative unfolds. These texts detail the saga of a specific class of angels, known as the Watchers or Grigori, who descended from their heavenly abode. Seduced by the beauty of human women, they transgressed divine law, taking them as wives and giving birth to monstrous offspring. Their sin, however, went far beyond lust. They revealed forbidden knowledge to humanity, the secrets of metallurgy for weaponry, the dark arts of magic and divination, astrology, and even the crafting of adornments that lured humanity further into sin. This unprecedented act of defiance ignited a profound spiritual warfare in the heavens, leading to a direct divine judgment upon them, and ultimately contributing to the chaotic state of the pre-flood world. The profound healing truth embedded here is that significant events and crucial details about our biblical history were sometimes intentionally obscured or omitted. This wasn't always malevolent. It was often a strategic choice made by ancient religious leaders to maintain theological consistency, preserve authority, or perhaps simplify complex narratives for the masses. The common misconception that all divine wisdom is readily available in one single compilation limits our capacity for spiritual awakening. Understanding that sacred texts were curated over time invites us to embark on a deeper, more personal journey of discovery, to seek out the unveiling of ancient secrets wherever they may be found. It empowers us to ask deeper questions, to embrace complexity, and to trust our own discernment as we piece together the complete tapestry of humanity's origins. What hidden truths do you believe still await discovery in the vast ocean of ancient biblical mysteries? Share your thoughts, and let's illuminate these profound connections together. The core of the Watcher's transgression, as vividly detailed in these apocryphal texts, was not merely their illicit unions, but their reckless imparting of forbidden knowledge to humanity. Imagine a world where advanced, divine secrets of warfare, sorcery, and celestial mechanics were suddenly dropped into the hands of a nascent human civilization. The Watchers taught humanity how to forge weapons of war from metals, how to conjure spells, how to read the stars to predict fate rather than seek divine guidance, and how to create cosmetics that fueled vanity and deceit. This wasn't a benevolent sharing of wisdom. It was a deliberate act of corrupting humanity's natural development, bypassing divine order and introducing tools of destruction and manipulation. The most terrifying consequence of these unions and this forbidden knowledge was the birth of the Nephilim, giant, monstrous offspring, a hybrid race of formidable strength and insatiable appetites, whose violence and depravity consumed the pre-flood world. Consider the timeless Greek myth of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. This act, while empowering, also brought suffering, as humanity then faced divine wrath. The parallel is striking. Both narratives speak to the dangers of acquiring power or knowledge beyond what is divinely intended, or when humanity is not spiritually ready to wield it responsibly. It's a powerful archetype that reverberates across cultures, warning against the hubris of seeking absolute power through illicit means. The common misconception is that all knowledge is power and inherently good, leading to salvation. However, the story of the Watchers offers a profound and perhaps unsettling healing truth. Not all knowledge is beneficial, especially when it circumvents divine timing or moral boundaries. This deep spiritual insight encourages us to discern not just what we learn, but how it impacts our spirit, our intentions, and our connection to divine truth. It reminds us that true wisdom lies in righteous discernment and humble alignment with divine will, rather than the mere accumulation of information. What forms of knowledge in our modern world do you believe might carry similar dangers, if not approached with spiritual wisdom? Share your insights, as this exploration of ancient wisdom truly speaks to our contemporary challenges and our quest for spiritual clarity. Why were these crucial narratives, the full account of the rebellion of angels, the emergence of the Watchers, and the devastating impact of the Nephilim giants, systematically removed from the Bible? The overarching reason was the imperative to control religious belief and to maintain a coherent, unified theological framework for the nascent faith communities. Ancient religious leaders and councils were tasked with establishing order, solidifying their authority, and defining the doctrines that would guide their followers, particularly during periods of intense spiritual and political upheaval. Key historical moments, such as the Council of Jamnia, circa 90 CE, where Jewish rabbis debated the canon of the Hebrew Bible, and the much later profoundly influential Council of Nicaea, 325 CE, for early Christianity, played pivotal roles in shaping what we now consider sacred scripture. These councils were not simply academic discussions. They were crucial deliberations aimed at combating perceived heresies, unifying diverse interpretations, and presenting a consistent, accessible narrative to believers. Texts like the Book of Enoch, with their complex cosmology of fallen angels and giants, might have been deemed too esoteric, too challenging to integrate with the simpler, more direct theological messages they sought to emphasize, or perhaps even too controversial for a unified doctrine. The decision was often less about suppressing falsehoods and more about curating a specific narrative that served the immediate needs of the community and its leadership. The profound healing lesson here is that religious authority throughout history has often prioritized stability and the maintenance of order over the complete, unvarnished revelation of every single detail. The common misconception, which can be a barrier to deeper spiritual awakening, is that religious texts were formed in a vacuum, untouched by human discernment and historical context. Recognizing the human element in the compilation of sacred texts doesn't diminish their divine inspiration. Instead, it invites a deeper, more nuanced appreciation for their profound truth and encourages us to engage in our own journey of biblical clarity. It empowers us to seek unveiling ancient secrets, not just within the familiar pages, but also in the rich tapestry of lost books and ancient wisdom that surrounds them. What are your thoughts on the influence of human decisions on the spiritual narratives we cherish today? How does this historical context empower your own search for truth? Let's explore these complex dynamics together. While often excluded from the core biblical canon of many traditions, texts like the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher serve as invaluable bridges to understanding the deeper currents of ancient biblical mysteries and the lost chapters of Genesis. For those truly committed to a comprehensive spiritual awakening, these books are not peripheral. They are foundational, providing crucial context and profound insights that enrich our reading of canonical scripture. The Book of Enoch, often referred to as the missing link, provides astonishing detail about the Watchers, their names, their leader Azazel, their descent to earth, and their specific teachings of forbidden knowledge, such as weapons, cosmetics, and sorcery. It vividly describes the creation of the Nephilim giants as a direct result of these illicit unions and the subsequent corruption that permeated the world, leading to the divine judgment of the Great Flood. Without Enoch, the brief mention of the sons of God and the Nephilim in Genesis 6 remains tantalizingly vague. Enoch fills in the blanks, providing the epic backstory to the state of formless and void that Genesis opens with. The Book of Jubilees offers a complementary narrative, providing a chronological account of creation and early human history, emphasizing the covenant and the divine law. It elaborates on the angelic fall, detailing how specific groups of angels transgressed, further solidifying the narrative of a pre-Adamic world influenced by celestial rebellion. The Book of Jasher, though less directly focused on angels, corroborates many of these early events, often providing additional cultural and historical details that paint a fuller picture of life before the flood. These texts collectively clarify the pervasive spiritual corruption that necessitated divine intervention. Comparing these accounts with the streamlined narrative of Genesis reveals significant omissions. Genesis implies the angelic fall, but doesn't detail it. It mentions the Nephilim, but doesn't explain their origin. It speaks of a chaotic earth, but doesn't fully explain the preceding cosmic events. The apocryphal books provide the robust narrative framework that illuminates these gaps, giving us a more complete understanding of humanity's origins and the early unfolding of divine plan and human agency. The powerful healing lesson here is that not every piece of divine wisdom that was set aside was inherently false. Often, it was simply deemed unnecessary, too complex, or perhaps politically inconvenient for the established canon. Embracing these lost books allows us to expand our capacity for biblical clarity, to connect more deeply with the truth revealed across various sacred traditions, and to truly embark on a path of transformative truth in our spiritual journey. What particular details from these hidden books resonate most deeply with your soul, and why? Let's continue this conversation and uncover more esoteric Bible truths. The profound insights gleaned from the apocryphal texts fundamentally shift our perception of sin and redemption, painting a much larger, more cosmic canvas than traditional theological interpretations often present. For many, the concept of original sin begins and ends with Adam and Eve's transgression in the Garden of Eden, placing the burden of cosmic corruption squarely on human shoulders. However, Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher introduce a crucial preceding element. Sin did not originate with humanity alone. It began in the celestial realm with the rebellion of the angels. These lost books articulate a pre-Adamic fall, a monumental act of defiance by the Watchers who broke divine law, not only through their illicit unions with human women, but also through their unauthorized dissemination of forbidden knowledge. This celestial transgression, a profound rupture in the divine order, occurred before humanity's fall in Eden. The resulting corruption and cosmic chaos, the formless and void state of the earth described in Genesis chapter 1-2, can be seen as a direct consequence of this earlier angelic rebellion, a cosmic wound inflicted upon creation before humanity even entered the scene as moral agents. This perspective challenges the prevailing misconception that all evil and spiritual brokenness in the world are solely the result of human failings. While human sin is undeniably real and impactful, these texts reveal a grander, more ancient spiritual warfare that permeates the very fabric of existence. It underscores that even beings of immense spiritual power and proximity to the divine could choose rebellion, demonstrating the universal reality of free will and its potentially devastating consequences regardless of one's spiritual station. This doesn't absolve human responsibility. Instead, it broadens our understanding of the multi-layered origins of sin and the pervasive nature of spiritual darkness that necessitated a profound divine intervention. For those seeking spiritual healing and a deeper biblical clarity, this expanded view of sin can be incredibly liberating. It places our individual struggles within a larger cosmic drama, highlighting the vastness of divine grace and the comprehensive nature of God's redemptive plan. It reveals that God's restoration isn't just a response to human brokenness, but a comprehensive effort to heal all of creation from ancient wounds, both human and angelic. This transformative truth can lead to a profound spiritual awakening, recognizing that our personal battles are echoes of a much grander cosmic struggle between light and shadow. How does this broader understanding of original sin resonate with your own spiritual journey and your perception of the world's struggles? Share your thoughts, and let's continue to uncover these esoteric Bible truths together. The brief yet compelling mention of Nephilim in Genesis 6:4 There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown, is one of the most intriguing and mysterious verses in the entire Bible. Without the lost chapters and apocryphal texts, these giants remain an unexplained anomaly, appearing suddenly and then fading into the narrative. However, when we integrate the rich details from books like Enoch and Jubilees, the existence of the Nephilim becomes vividly explained and central to the pre-flood narrative. These hidden books explicitly identify the Nephilim as the direct, monstrous offspring resulting from the forbidden unions between the fallen watchers, the sons of God, and human women. They were depicted not simply as tall humans, but as immense, powerful, and inherently violent beings, a hybrid race that brought immense suffering and profound spiritual corruption to the earth. Their very presence was a perversion of both divine and human creation, a grotesque amalgamation that propagated depravity and filled the world with unbridled brutality. The texts describe their insatiable appetites, their consumption of human resources, and their role in teaching humanity idolatry and further abominable practices. Their widespread evil was so pervasive that it triggered the divine judgment of the Great Flood, a necessary cleansing of the earth from this profound spiritual and physical defilement. When we consider the widespread global legends of giants found in almost every ancient culture, from the Anakim in the Old Testament to the Titans in Greek mythology, and when we gaze upon the awe-inspiring and often inexplicable megalithic structures like Stonehenge, Baalbek, or the pyramids, whose construction methods remain a mystery to conventional history, the concept of the Nephilim takes on a chilling and compelling resonance. Could these colossal remnants be silent testaments to the existence of such powerful, non-human entities? Could these structures be the enduring legacy of a forgotten era when beings of immense power and stature roamed the earth, leaving behind an indelible mark on both the physical landscape and the collective consciousness of humanity? This isn't just about ancient history, it's a tantalizing glimpse into a pre-Adamic world that fundamentally challenges our conventional understanding of our past and the true nature of the powers that once walked among us. The powerful healing lesson embedded in this narrative is that the unrestrained pursuit of power, the misuse of forbidden knowledge, and the indulgence of unchecked desires, particularly when they involve crossing divine boundaries, lead to devastating consequences. The story of the Nephilim serves as a powerful allegory for how the corruption of spiritual authority and the merging of unholy ambitions can give rise to immense darkness and chaos, illustrating the critical importance of divine order and moral discernment. What ancient structures or legends have you personally encountered that spark a deep sense of wonder about these powerful, long-forgotten beings? Share your reflections below, and let's continue this fascinating journey into unveiling ancient secrets and esoteric Bible truths that continue to reshape our understanding of humanity's origins. This deeper journey into the lost chapters of Genesis and the apocryphal texts fundamentally reframes our perception of the very first book of the Bible. It compels us to see Genesis not as a beginning from absolute nothingness, but as a profound act of divine recreation or restoration. The initial description of the earth as formless and void, tohu vabohu, is not a blank slate, but a scene of existing devastation, a cosmic aftermath. This strongly implies that a significant cataclysmic event had already occurred, plunging the earth into disarray before God began the masterful work of bringing order, light, and life back into existence. This perspective transforms the traditional understanding of the 6 days of creation from a pristine initial act of making into a magnificent act of divine restoration, a skillful rebuilding from profound ruin. It positions God not only as the ultimate creator, but also as the supreme restorer, capable of bringing beauty, function, and purpose back from even the deepest abyss of chaos. Restoration from destruction is a profound theme that resonates powerfully across countless cultures and spiritual traditions worldwide, far beyond the confines of biblical narratives. Consider the ancient Egyptian myth of the phoenix, which perpetually rises from its own ashes, symbolizing eternal renewal, or the cyclical nature of creation and dissolution in Hindu cosmology, where cosmic ages repeat in endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Many indigenous spiritual traditions speak of great floods or cosmic resets that precede new eras of life and flourishing. These universal narratives reflect a deep-seated human understanding that life often emerges anew from the remnants of what was, that rebirth is intrinsically linked to a preceding phase of dissolution, chaos, or even profound suffering. This pattern is woven into the very fabric of existence, from the turning of seasons to the cycles of human experience, from personal loss to eventual healing and growth. The profound healing lesson embedded in this perspective, one that offers immense spiritual clarity for our own lives, is that every true rebirth, every genuine act of spiritual awakening, often necessitates a preceding period of breakdown, chaos, or even perceived destruction. It teaches us that moments of formless and void in our own personal journeys are not necessarily endings, but rather fertile ground for divine intervention, for a new beginning orchestrated by a loving and restoring God. This shifts our perspective from fearing chaos to understanding its inherent potential for transformative growth, reassuring us that even in our darkest moments, the Spirit of God hovers, ready to bring light and order once more. This insight is a beacon of hope and healing, reminding us that even when our personal world feels shattered, divine restoration is always possible. How does this understanding of creation as recreation resonate with your own experiences of renewal and healing in life? Share your reflections, and let's celebrate the boundless power of divine restoration together. As we draw this profound journey into biblical mysteries and the lost chapters of Genesis to a close, remember that the quest to uncover ancient secrets is not a destination, but an ever-unfolding path. It's a sacred invitation to look beyond the obvious, to question with deep reverence, and to embrace a richer, more expansive understanding of divine wisdom. We've journeyed through the astounding truth that Genesis might not begin with a pristine creation, but with the profound aftermath of cosmic chaos, a world plunged into a formless and void state by an ancient rebellion of angels. We've peeled back the layers to reveal the lost chapter that speaks of the Watchers and their fateful impartation of forbidden knowledge, a destructive gift that brought forth the terrifying Nephilim giants and deeply corrupted early humanity. This exploration is far more than a mere academic exercise. It's a catalyst for spiritual awakening, a powerful revelation that helps us grasp the true, enduring scope of spiritual warfare that has shaped our world since its very inception. Every act of betrayal, whether perpetrated by celestial beings or by humankind, carries a profound cost, creating ripple effects that echo through time and influence our collective destiny. Yet within this acknowledgement of ancient falls and suppressed histories, there resonates an even greater, more profound healing truth: the unwavering, boundless power of divine restoration. Just as God brought magnificent order from the deepest chaos in the recreation of the world, so too can divine grace bring profound healing and transformative renewal to the formless and void places within our own hearts, our lives, and our troubled world. This story reminds us that even from the deepest ruins, the light of hope can emerge, stronger and more vibrant than before, guided by the very hand of the divine. This journey into esoteric Bible truths is not about dismantling faith. It's about building a more resilient, comprehensive, and ultimately empowering understanding of the sacred narrative. It invites you to a deeper biblical clarity, to perceive the interconnected threads of ancient wisdom woven through diverse cultures, and to recognize that the pursuit of truth is a continuous, evolving unfolding. If this video has touched your soul, if it has brought a glimmer of light to parts of your understanding that felt shadowed, or if it has simply ignited a fervent curiosity about the vast landscape of hidden biblical knowledge that still awaits discovery, then a profound spiritual connection has been made between us. If you felt a spark of recognition, a tremor of spiritual awakening, or if this journey has illuminated a path toward healing in your own life, I humbly invite you to consider supporting this work. Every contribution, no matter how humble, is a cherished act of energy exchange that empowers us to continue delving into these profound biblical mysteries and sharing these transformative truths with a wider, yearning audience. Your support helps us to bring more light into the world, to uncover more ancient secrets, and to foster more moments of spiritual enlightenment for many more souls seeking clarity. Thank you from the very core of my heart for being an integral part of this profound exploration. What one burning question still resonates in your heart after exploring these lost biblical insights? Please share your reflections in the comments below, and let's continue to seek and find divine wisdom together. And as a final invitation, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss our next deep dive into the profound revelations from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and even more uncharted territories of biblical lore. Your continued presence on this sacred journey is a true and cherished blessing,